Hello guys, today I am going to be talking about whether you should avoid any porn triggers, and if so, which triggers to avoid in particular. So within the Beyond Compulsion Academy, our program which helps people rewire their addicted neural pathways, we had this comment this week from one of our clients. The title was, "There's porn everywhere." And he said, "Hi guys, as the title implies, I'm coming to a bit of a rude awakening on how prevalent and intrusive explicit content is online right now. I've had at least 3 unintended run-ins with hardcore sexual content online this week, including just about an hour ago while working on a website I assumed was fairly boring. Thankfully, my script has helped me choose well each time. I'm reflecting a lot right now on the importance of accepting that nothing can force me to engage, and the temporary discomfort of being occasionally exposed without engaging compulsively." So basically what he's saying is there's been some triggers, right, in his life throughout the week. Quite a lot. I mean, for me personally, it'd be very rare that I'd see actual hardcore sexual content 3 times in a week. That would be incredibly rare. So I don't know exactly what this guy's been up to, but it sounds like he's been working on designing some kind of websites. Maybe that's his work. I don't know the ins and outs of all of our clients' lives. I don't need to know that to help them succeed in changing their addictive neural pathways. But yeah, 3 times is a lot. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how many times you're triggered by the porn, because as this client rightfully says, he always has a choice, and he can accept that nothing can actually force him to engage. So I've actually been exposed to slightly sexual content and topics this week myself as well, so it isn't uncommon. This week I was walking down the street in Manchester, the main city centre street called Market Street here, and there was a clothes store that sold like bras and underwear for women, and there was this massive poster outside. It was probably about 4 times the size of me, and there's this woman who's pretty much fully naked. I mean, she had something slightly covering her, like this kind of underwear thing covering her slightly, but she was basically fully naked. And to be honest with you, it kind of reminded me of the first ever sexual content that I sought online back when I was about 12 years old, going on Google Images and just typing in boobs, because it's basically the same sort of photo. And for a few seconds afterwards, I was just a bit like, whoa, okay. I just saw that, and I carried on and I did my shopping and cracked on with my day. But it is everywhere nowadays, even if it isn't full-on hardcore sex, these kind of topics, it's prevalent throughout society. And I've actually just got back from being in the sauna. I was doing a sauna and ice bath session for about an hour and a half. And in there, I think one of the women was actually an OnlyFans creator, and she was having this conversation with her friend. She was complaining about all these men messaging her on Instagram, and her friend was like, well, you can make money from that. All you need to do is start sort of extorting them by doing this whole pay pigs thing. I don't know too much about it, but she mentioned that word pay pig, so I kind of took a guess from there that maybe this woman's in the OnlyFans world or something. Wasn't exactly sure, but it all just sounded a little bit, it was quite a sexual sort of thing. And again, it's just well, that was right in front of me. The woman's there in a bikini in a sauna, a few yards away from me. She probably had a load of fake work done on her, plastic surgery and stuff. And she probably is on OnlyFans or something, or if she's not now, she's maybe going to get into that due to her friend's recommendation, which to me is just absolutely insane how these women are there talking about such a big life decision so nonchalantly, just not really giving a shit about the lives of the people who they could potentially impact. And it's just oh well, easy bit of money. And I've been in clubs before as well, talking to some girls, and they've told me how they've sold feet pictures on OnlyFans, and I've heard all kinds of things from friends and just people out and about, because it's just so normalized now. Sexual content is part of culture, and personally I hate how things have shifted in that way. I think it's quite disgusting. I don't know if it's that absolutely everywhere in the world, but we do have people getting in touch with us from all sorts of areas globally. So maybe it is like that all over now. I'm not entirely sure. But to really break things down, what I just want to get across is, look, there's sexual content all over the place, and yeah, you may come across it online. But the truth is, you've always got that choice, and it doesn't really matter how much you come across it unintentionally, whether it's in your day-to-day conversations, or you're in a sauna and there's a girl there who's probably on OnlyFans, or whether you're actually like clicking on something and it turns out to be porn when you weren't expecting it to be porn. Like it doesn't really matter how much you get triggered. What matters is how you respond. Now, I will caveat that with this one thing, right? Obviously, you always know if you're actively seeking out sexual content or if it is genuinely unintentional, right? So there's a big difference there, because I remember when I was in the porn addiction, I used to bullshit myself all the time. I used to say, oh, this is fine because it's an accident, when I'm like scrolling on Instagram or like clicking on the explore page, like, oh, it's not my fault that I've just refreshed the Instagram explore page the 50th time and I've ended up finally seeing a shit ton of like Instagram models. Like, I mean, come on, like obviously that was bullshit. Like I was bullshitting myself. And I do think when you stop seeking it at all, like you completely eliminate it from your life, you're a lot less likely to actually come across anything, even unintentionally, because I think really a lot of the time there is some intention there. So you've just got to be 100% honest with yourself. But, without that side of things, without the kind of bullshit sort of tricking yourself into looking for it and saying that's unintentional, that aside, if you do get triggered by something and it genuinely is unintentional, well, you don't have anything to worry about if, and this is the key thing, I suppose, if you have a system in place to deal with compulsive desires. And that's what everyone needs if they wish to overcome porn addiction. You have to get really, really dialed in on how you deal with compulsive desires. And here's the other thing, is even if you never get triggered by anything external to you, well, you are still going to get triggered because the actual problem is in your mind. So it's in your neural pathways, right? When the brain gets addicted to porn, you then develop these neural pathways where you're going to have certain thought patterns and you're going to start to have compulsive desires due to just your mind, so like just the way your mind operates now, because of the addictive neural pathways. So I'll give you a few examples of that. It's like, it may not be like an external trigger, but in the past anyway, I'd always feel like I've been triggered when I'm stressed or when I'm lonely or when I'm tired or when maybe I've had like a big sort of argument with someone, or I mean, that wouldn't happen that often, but it could have done, in the past. It did happen a few times, I suppose. So the triggers are in your mind, and this is the thing, is there's like the external sort of sexual explicit content and the porn being everywhere, but then you've also got the compulsive desires are just going to go on in your mind because the brain's wired in this way. And so when you really break everything down, all you need is a way to deal with the compulsive desire. Like, how do you deal with the thought pattern that on some level is trying to get you to engage in the behavior? Okay, and once you master that, you honestly can live like the rest of your life, like no longer worrying about getting triggered, no longer worrying about having the urges, not thinking into the future going, oh, how am I going to deal with this situation? You just know, okay, well, I'll just go to my system, and I'll just use my system. So for us inside the Beyond Compulsion Academy, that is the script, of course. And that's why this guy in this message this week has, he's unintentionally seen porn a few times, and yet he still has that ability to deal with those desires that come about, think through his choice in a very rational way, using his 5-fact script, and then really experience the desire, which, it is very uncomfortable. So sure, this maybe isn't for everyone, because some people are not willing to actually experience the discomfort to get to the other side of this problem. But, he's able to actually experience that temporary discomfort. He wants to experience the temporary discomfort because he knows that by experiencing the desire without acting on it, that's how you actually change your neural pathways. You do this repeatedly over time. What happens is you rewire your brain, and you're going to have a lot less desire, basically, and you're going to feel very in control of yourself. You're going to have a lot of self-trust, and I suppose you'll even be able to go to the sauna and not really give a shit if there's some girls in a bikini talking about OnlyFans creation or some other degenerate thing, right? So hopefully that makes some sense. Hopefully that helps. If you're still on the path of avoiding your triggers, then it's going to be a long journey of no-fap streaks, ups and downs, relapses, feeling helpless, and never really trusting yourself. The alternative is you learn how to deal with compulsive desires and you eliminate this problem from your life entirely by knowing exactly what to do anytime you have any sort of desire to engage in a compulsive behaviour. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the Beyond Compulsion method, then I would recommend clicking the link below. All right, we'll see you there. Bye-bye.